tomorrow's date and I don't have the airplanes.
Let me look here.
What does it take to get 1,700 Northwest airplanes off the ground every day? A rare behind-the-scenes look in tonight's Extra. Pulling off that mammoth job is no easy task, especially when jets have problems.
It takes thousands of people, 18,000 right here in Minnesota, to keep the airline in the skies. Northwest granted KARE 11's Alan Constantini and a team of photographers unprecedented access to their personnel and facilities. It is your chance now to see how the airline schedules the skies.
Every flight has a beginning. Every flight begins with a plane.
Good morning. This is Terry Marsh calling.
And a pilot.
Flight 7 today to Seattle.
Every flight begins with a plan.
Hi, it's Tim Rainey with the 8:15 SOC morning briefing.
At Northwest Airlines, flight begins in the SOC, the Systems Operations Control.
Okay, thank you.
From this football field of desks and terminals at Twin Cities International, planes and crews are matched around the world.
This is the 400. What aircraft we're going to be flying and what the flight plan looks like.
The pilot is still at home. The plane is still in the hangar, but the SOC managers are reviewing and planning.
Weather was our primary problem yesterday. We had morning fog in Milwaukee, causing 3 diversions and 7 flights to cancel.
Discussing and solving nuts and bolts problems goes on day and night in the SOC.
Currently, we've got 9 aircraft out of service.
Most problems are minor.
We found a small dent in the fuselage.
There's a cold front coming out of the Dakotas.
But small problems can have big impact.
If we take 15 out,
the plane that was to be Flight 15 from Honolulu to Osaka, Japan, has an engine problem.
That flight canceled, also canceling Flight 16 back from Osaka to Honolulu. This also resulted in the back turn of Flight 70 to Detroit.
There is the very real threat that Flight 15's cancellation
And 26 in Manila.
will domino through the system.
that's where we're stuck.
As the SOC managers work for an answer, Pilot Marsh leaves home.
Bye.
But in the hangar, there is a problem with Flight 7.
We've got a broken wire, and it's in a conduit about 100 feet long, and it's pretty hard to locate.
The smallest part of the biggest plane cannot be left to chance. As the mechanics scramble to keep Flight 7 on time,
We'll run whatever you give us later to go down to Seoul later. So now we
the SOC is scrambling to keep the system on time.
And therein lies the key. We don't
The
have
plane that was Flight 15 must be flown to Tokyo for repair.
or fly in the next 2 days.
The problem is how to run the rest of the airline schedule with that airplane missing.
Could you find a generic crew to fly 85 of the 13th?
85 of the 13th out of.
Narita to Seoul?
It's a global chess game across a dozen time zones.
We're already into tomorrow's date and I don't have the airplanes.
Let me look here.
After 30 minutes of mental contortions,
What are we doing with the inbound 26 out of Manila?
there appears to be an answer.
We want to swap the crews and equipment on 6 and 26 of...
In Manila?
In Manila.
Oh, in Manila. Okay.
In Manila. They're there now.
Yes, they are.
It works for your airplanes, Dave?
From the time that I was 5 years old, I knew that I wanted to be a pilot.
Pilot Marsh is delighted with his blue sky commute, and the hangar crew has good news as well.
That's 28 volts on there, Mike. But I need a wire stripper.
In the underbelly of Flight 7's jumbo jet, the mechanics think they have found their broken needle in a haystack.
Well, we found a broken wire, and we just want to make sure this is the right one.
In the SOC,
Yeah, I'm going to need some help.
a dozen crews and planes have been rerouted to solve the problem of one engine on one plane in Hawaii.
If it fails to work, then we start this fire drill over again.
What about the passengers in the flight from Honolulu to Osaka? What happens to them?
Those passengers will have to take one of the 2 other flights through Narita and connect down to Osaka or fly another carrier.
All right, it's fixed.
There won't be any delays for Flight 7. The hangar repair is complete.
Sometimes passengers get upset when a plane doesn't make it to the gate on time, but we're not going to deliver an airplane and let it be operated without it being in a safe condition.
As the plane is guided to the jetway at Gate 2, Pilot Marsh finishes a quick briefing in the SOC.
We had one report at 37 and one report at 39.
And in St. Paul, passenger Dan Vasquez bids his daughter farewell.
Back Friday at 5:18.
As Dan makes his way to the terminal, Flight 7's co-pilot checks the aircraft at the gate.
It's time.
Pilot Marsh boards a crew shuttle at the SOC building and heads for the terminal.
Did you pack the luggage yourself?
Yes.
Well,
Now we're grooving.
Pilot Marsh joins the parade moving toward Gate 2.
At this time, we would like to welcome aboard passengers seated in rows 60 through 66, now boarding at door number 2.
Hi there. Hi, how are you? Good morning.
At this time, all electronic devices.
As Terry scoots up to the flight deck of the 747, Dan settles into his seat.
Gear. Down and green.
Radar.
Standby.
Takeoff point.
Check.
Start levers.
Cut off.
This will be the final boarding call in the gate area, Northwest Flight 7, service to Seattle.
The jetways are closed. No higher power can get a late passenger on board now. It's time to go.
Cockpit is sterile.
He's out of the gate.
In the SOC, dispatcher Kevin Bolt begins to monitor the flight.
It's showing that he has pushed out. They're showing him out.
To the ground and air controllers, a jumbo jet is a heavy.
Northwest 7 Heavy, follow a company MD-80 coming up off your right side and taxi to runway 29 left.
7 Heavy, wind check 220 at 8. 29er left, fly runway heading, clear for takeoff.
Obviously, we had a great deal of cooperation from Northwest and unprecedented access for our cameras to their facilities. But after the takeoff of Flight 7 on that day, something they could not have anticipated happened. It was a very real in-flight emergency call. And tomorrow we'll show you how Northwest reacts when a plane in the air is in trouble.
This is Kevin over here. Dan's tied up with a in-flight emergency. He's got Flight 891 that lost the right hydraulic system.
If you fly, or know anyone that does, you'll want to see tomorrow's Extra. Paul, Pat?
Alan, I assume there are people, obviously, in the SOC 24 hours a day. And that's what, Strategic Operations Center again? Is that what that is?
It's the Systems Operation Control Center. It's in Building F over at Twin Cities International. It literally controls all the flights around the world.
How many people work in there?
Hundreds. You know, I mean, you don't see them all at one time.
Right.
There are perhaps 20 dispatchers working at one time, and each one is handling, in a given shift, maybe 30 planes.
You won't be able to fly and not have a different thought about it now.
Exactly.
It's amazing, really.
Yeah,
A little bit of stress in there?
Actually, you know, it was interesting. There seemed to be more stress when there was a less stressful situation. The more stressful the situation got, the calmer they got, as you'll see tomorrow.
All right.
Interesting.
Thank you, Alan.